Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We are live, as I like to say, on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Getting the live dialed in again on Instagram because was having a little technical difficulties earlier. So let's get this dialed in. Bear with me just one moment, please. So go ahead, join in, sit down, stand up, join us. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today because this is something that I have been thinking about for a little bit, and I'm really excited to share with you my thoughts and hopefully help you, move forward and improve. And there we go. And one more moment. I love that. When people say one more moment and you're like 2 seconds. Okay. So getting live on Instagram, 3, 2, 1. We're officially live on both channels, live on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Thanks to the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube crowd for hanging on a moment while we got some glitches sorted out. So we're just going to jump into it today. First off, I want to welcome you all. Hope you're having a magical day. And if your day maybe hasn't started off the most magical, I hope that from this point on, you're able to turn it around and that some really great things happen for you, that the day redeems itself. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, and the reason I chose the theme, do you ever feel guilty when you're having an off day? Because I was trying to target exactly the topic that we're talking about today. And it was something that really just popped out to me recently. There is a fitness person who I love to follow, Body Fit by Amy, and this is a bit of a tangent. But I recently got back into watching her programs, and she has a sign, and she says this all the time. She talks about how you're supposed to be where you're at today. So in terms of a fitness thing, when you're saying be where you're at today, maybe you had a rough workout the day before, maybe you're just getting started, whatever it is, you're at a certain level on that specific day and you're supposed to honor where you're at that level. You can still push yourself, but sometimes it's important to realize where your body's at and honor it and honor where you are in that process. And if you're able to push yourself, still push yourself, but being aware of where you're at. And what I love about that is because that honors where we are no matter what. And I think that when we're asking ourselves to be where we're at today, it's not necessarily what someone may think as a cop out for not expanding yourself or pushing yourself. It's also being self-aware and honoring yourself. This is a lot easier when you're in a situation. I think this is for a lot of people a lot easier when there's something happening with your body, to honor where you're at today. For example, you had a really rough night's sleep, or you have a migraine or something like that. Those things kind of put us out so that it forces us to honor where we're at that day. Say, for example, you have something really important going on that day, but you have a migraine, you've come down with a really bad cold. Sometimes our bodies completely put us out of commission that we have to honor where we're at that day. And we really have no option but to honor it and seek out tools. Many of us have these things come up in our body and we push past it and we ignore it, which also isn't necessarily the best idea because it's only going to get worse. I think it's almost like you sprain your ankle and you keep running on it. It's only going to take longer to heal. It's going to get worse and you're not solving any problems. So I think it's just really important to highlight that specific aspect because from a body perspective, the body just tells us. But what about what's going on within? Because that's a really important aspect too. And why is it important to honor where we're at today? And there's many reasons. And one of the things is important to honor where you're at is to understand, and this is not said in a negative sense, it's to understand what your limitations are and But understanding where your limitations are, it helps you also discover the opportunities available to you. Say, for example, you wake up on a day, and you could do it two ways. You wake up on a day and you have a migraine, but you have other things going on, but you can't function as you need to function. You're then forced to look at what you can do to solve the situation. Who can you help? Who can help you achieve what you need to achieve that day? Yada, yada, yada. But what happens on another side? Sometimes, for example, you can have a day where, I think we all have that, where things just aren't making sense. You're just off. And it's not like you're physically off, but you're just off. And when you're having those days, it's okay to honor it and ask for help. Say, I don't know what's going on with me today, but for some reason, it's just not making sense. It's not clicking. Can you please help me? Or whatever it is. But honoring that and understanding that you're there helps you get opportunities so that you can set yourself up for success. It's important to honor where you're at today, because when you honor yourself and you honor where you're at and you seek out those opportunities, you're able to show up as the best version of you. You're able to help the people you serve that much more because you have shown up for you and you've honored yourself, and thereby seeking out opportunities, you're able to put your best foot forward for your client or for whoever you're serving. What's another benefit and why is it important? You'll feel less stressed. If you have the world on your shoulders, you haven't honored where you're at today. Say for example, the example I just gave to you, where you're just having an off day and just nothing's making sense. Things are piling up and you're just completely stressed out, and you haven't honored that fact, and you haven't asked for help, and you haven't started seeking out the ways that you can say, okay, this is where I'm at today. How can I solve this? You're just going to feel more stressed because you're just going to continue plowing through the day without honoring where you're at, without seeking help, without looking for other ways around to try and serve at your highest despite being off that day. And you're just going to feel really, really stressed. And you'll also, if you honor it, you'll feel less stressed and you'll be happier. How else? Not to sigh. How else? You'll increase your productivity, because there's nothing worse than having an off day and then feeling guilty about having the off day and not being productive because you're getting distracted, because maybe you're not focused for one reason or another, opposed to saying, okay, this is where I'm at today. I understand that. I honor that. I get help. And I also set what priorities can I actually accomplish today. You'll be way more productive than trying to push through something that you can't push through that day. Right? I think we all have been there. And then the last reason why it's important to honor where you're at today, because all of this mental stress, all of these things, while they're not manifesting physically at that very moment, it is commonly believed that emotional distress and dis-ease leads to disease or dis-ease. It builds up within your body and it gets to a point where you're not able to ignore it anymore, and then you can't move forward. So how do we honor where we're at that day? Some of the things that you can do, and what I would recommend you do, first off, be honest with yourself. If you're having an off day, like, I know that I'm the eternal optimist and I always see the bright side of everything. And someone may say that's not being honest with myself. There's a difference. I can be honest with myself and still see the bright side of things. I can see how things are because your perspective dictates everything. But I think it's important for all of us to honor where we're at in our emotional states and just be honest with it. If you're feeling sad, be honest with yourself that I'm feeling sad, feeling angry, or whatever it is. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling really off. I'm feeling confused. Whatever it is, if we're honest with ourselves, that is the first step to discovering a solution. Because I think anybody who is, the perfect analogy is, say, for example, you're going to separate you into two things. You have a client that comes in to you and they're not completely honest with you about everything that's going on. I think many have been in the situation, and then what happens? Something comes up and you're blindsided because the client wasn't honest with you. The same can be applied to you. If you're not completely honest with yourself, how can you set yourself up for success? If you're not honest with the landscape and what's going on, then you can't set yourself up for success by asking for help, looking for other opportunities. That's simple as that. Get to know yourself. It's so easy for us to get distracted. And I know I'm just going to say it bears repeating. It's so easy for us to get distracted in this world. I am guilty of it as well, of all the things going on. We have so much stimulus when it comes to social media, TV, whatever it is, there's always some form of distraction. And that takes away from reflection time. But we are ever evolving beings. And my sister reminded me of this quote, and I don't remember who said it. So whoever knows this, you're welcome to drop it in the comments if you know it. But they say no person, maybe it's no person or a horse, doesn't matter what it is, steps into the same river twice. And that's because you're not going to be the same person that you were this morning waking up tomorrow. It's just not the case. You're going to experience things that you didn't experience the day before, even the tiniest of minor things. And that river is not going to be exactly the same it was because it's flowing, things are circulating. Yes, it's the same body of water, but it's not the same body of water. So just as these things are ever evolving, you are ever evolving. So it's that much more important to take time to get to know ourselves. I mean, the simplest example is your taste buds. I used to hate coconut and fish and all kinds of things. But then when I grew up, our taste buds evolved. And it's funny that I find myself now loving things that I used to think were absolutely disgusting. But that's just an example of how we're constantly evolving. And if you don't take time to get to know yourself, just like taking time to try new things so you can see that you actually like them, you're not going to be able to set yourself up for success because you're not going to know how to set yourself up for success and what your needs are and how you best operate, what your superpowers are, maybe where there's opportunities for growth. That's very important. Meditation is something that I definitely recommend. And there are so many different forms of meditation, but one of the most beautiful things about meditation, and most people think of sitting quiet and saying Aum and chanting or whatever it is. But the beautiful thing about meditation, it's the ability to sit and watch your thoughts, because our mind is just going and going and going most of the time. And when you're able to become aware of the thoughts that are floating through your head and the themes that are going through there, you can become aware of what's bothering you, what the themes are, and it can help you start to discover yourself and understand what's going on. Part of that, one of the tools that I'll mention with the meditation and getting to know yourself is therapy. And we can have a separate live on that, and I do plan to do that, is the benefits of therapy. I have a therapist who practices neuro-linguistic programming, which has been a huge game changer for me in my life, because it's one thing to work on changing your thoughts, and it's another thing to help you really change the wiring and have somebody help you. Because it's just like anything. You could do it yourself, it may take a lot longer, or you can work with someone who knows what they're doing and they can help you get to where you need to go faster. They'll have other insights for you. It's really good to have people in your court that help you, and choosing a form of therapy that does help you become aware of these things going on in your life so you can work through things, move forward, and constantly evolve. And another caveat in the same line of therapists, mentors, having people that mentor you, that know you, that can help you see where you're at, that see you from their eyes and not you through your eyes. It's just like, this is a very simplistic example, but I know in my own life and this is kind of personal, but there have been times in my life since I was little, I always struggled with my weight. And I can remember times where I've looked at photos, and I looked at photos of myself later on, and I looked at them and I was like, man, I was in really, really great shape. But I remember looking at myself at that time and thinking at that time, and I thought at that time that I was overweight. And it's just really interesting how our perspectives shape our views in our lives. So having mentors and having people that know you there that can help you see what you're not seeing is extremely important. And that can help you honor where you're at. If you take all these tools in your toolkit, that can help you where you're on, help you honor where you're at today and help you move forward so that you can do the best you can. So what to do next? Use the ingredients that you have that day. So the most simplistic, and I really like this analogy when I was thinking about this. It's just like you're where you're at today. Maybe you don't have all the ingredients that you necessarily wanted to make that particular meal or that particular cake, so to say, but use the ingredients that you have at your disposal and get creative with them. If you don't have an ingredient, maybe you can outsource to someone else. That's just really the most simplistic way of saying it, is use the ingredients that you have available to you that day. Give yourself also, secondly, give yourself permission to take time. It's important for us to honor ourselves. And if you do need to take a moment or step away, is honor that and take that time. Ask for that time, because if you don't ask for it and if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. And as a result of you not taking that time, others may suffer. So it's important for you to understand that what you do also does affect others. So by you not honoring yourself, you're not allowing yourself to fully show up for the people that you're serving. And then the last thing, what I'll add to that, is honoring yourself doesn't mean you're not pushing yourself, but it means honor where you're at today, and knowing where you're at today, still push yourself to meet the goals that you need to meet, but in a way that's still honoring where you're at. So if we're going to go to the physical, if you sprained your ankle and you plan on going for a run that day, you obviously can't go for a run that day. But how are you going to push yourself? Maybe you can do some abs, or you can do some arms, or whatever it is. There are still other ways of pushing yourself. The same thing goes in other aspects of, say, for example, you're having an off day. You're like, okay, I'm having an off day. Things just aren't making sense. I don't know what's going on. What can I do? How can I push myself? Okay, so these are the goals. These are the things that I wanted to accomplish today. Realistically, what can I accomplish? Who can help me with that? Set your goals and push yourself to make happen what you think you can accomplish, and maybe a little bit more, but really set realistic goals that you can then at the end of the day look back and reflect and be happy with what you did, and not feel guilty for having an off day. And instead of feeling guilty for having an off day, feel proud of what you were able to accomplish, and also proud that you were able to honor yourself. So thanks to Body Fit by Amy for reminding me of this important motto, is be where you're at today. It's okay to be where you're at today. You can push yourself, but honoring ourselves is one of the most important things that we really can do. Because if you don't honor yourself, no one else is going to honor you. All right, guys, love to hear your insights, feedback, whatever you got for me. Drop those in the comments. And I wish you guys the most amazing week. Go out there, honor yourselves, make it happen, and be great. Talk to you guys later.